thank you so much for tuning in to this live broadcast. For those of you who are new around here and have no idea who I am, my name is KL Jones, and I am the CEO and founder of ElevateNow.com, which is a personal branding agency and film production company. And I'm hopping on here to spread some joy, hope, and light today because we all certainly need it. No matter where you are tuning in from the world, we all need just a little bit of hope, right? So, as you can see from the title of my broadcast, I'm not going to be here before you long, but I do want to share some really, really important things that I think are really going to help to make you feel much better. In fact, I know they will. Whether you're a mom, a dad, but more specifically, an entrepreneur, business owner, a freelancer, a consultant, a speaker, an author, a coach, whatever your thing is in life, this is for you. So, why am I talking about not panicking? Unless you've been living under a rock, then you already know there has been mass hysteria behind this global pandemic called the novel coronavirus, also known as COVID-19. And there's still a lot that we don't know. Hey, Kathy, there's still a lot that we just don't know about this disease. But here are some things that we do know. People who are elderly or those who have underlying health conditions are at a greater risk than those who are not to contract this virus. And I have a very personal story to share with you that I will shortly later in the broadcast about why this hits so close to home. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get into talking about crisis management. How many of you, as business owners or entrepreneurs, have ever found yourself in a position where you've had to go into crisis management mode? I'm talking about full on Olivia Pope mode, where you got to handle stuff and, people are depending on you, whether it's your employees, your customers, your clients, your family. You got to put on your Olivia Pope cape and be like, it's handled. So today we're going to cover some things that are going to better position you to step into your Olivia Pope superpowers and tell your folks with confidence and with truthfulness is handled. Okay. So listen here. I am not one to hop on any bandwagons or be a part of the hype or the trends. I actually do things in my life, both personally and professionally, quite differently. And I really went back and forth with whether or not I wanted to come on here and talk to you all about the impact of the coronavirus and how it's, impacting my personal life and my business. Because the truth of the matter is, you can probably think of 5 people off the top of your head that are on your friends list or business pages or influencers or personal brands and businesses that you follow, and they've already been having the conversations. So I'm not here to necessarily repeat what's already been said or to regurgitate anything, but I'm going to share my own personal perspective of how to navigate through this crisis and still come out on top without losing your sanity, okay? And still be profitable. Yes, crisis mode. But here's the good news. When you step out of panic mode, then you're better able to be able to step into crisis mode with a clear mind. That's part of it. It's your mindset. Like if you're upset and emotional and super attached to every single thing, you're not going to be able to think clearly and make the best decisions for yourself, your family, your household, your business, your employees, your partners, contractors, customers, and clients. You just will not. And so it doesn't serve anyone well if you are in panic mode. So we want to eliminate panic mode as much as we possibly can. And I'll be the first. I'm not saying to act like nothing is going on. And maybe you're on the other end of the spectrum and you feel like, hey, and you'll see me looking over here because I'm actually live streaming from 2 cameras. So, and same thing for you guys. But I am very concerned and with good reason. And so I'm not saying that you fall into this lackadaisical mindset and just act like nothing is going on, nor should you take that attitude and chastise the people who are really concerned. And the flip side to that is you should not be led with a fear mindset, because the things that you fear, you attract. So there's a happy medium in between the two, and that's where I want to help you all get to today. And that's what we're going to talk about. Deal? All right, cool. So, why should you uh, be actively thinking about how to shift, pivot, reinvent, implement, and serve? If you're ready to learn how to do those things, drop a one in the comments so we can go ahead and get into the meat of what I came here to talk to you about. I don't want to waste your time. Drop a one in the comments if you're ready to learn how you can effectively and successfully pivot, reinvent, implement, and serve, because that's super, super important. Drop a one in the comments. All right, let's get to it. So here's why you should do this. Despite whatever is going on, the reality is that businesses still have to run, bills still have to be paid, employees still have to be paid, vendors and partners have to be paid, and you've still got to put food on the table and take care of your family, right? That goes beyond a shadow of a doubt. It doesn't matter if the whole world shuts down, there are still things that you have to do, and you can't avoid it. For me personally, my son, we just found out, I decided to keep him home yesterday from school because I had some concerns. But then by the end of the day, the school district had decided, and actually our whole county, every school in our county decided to shut down all of the schools. So my son is home for the next 3 weeks. So there's a pivot and a shift that I have to go through to make sure that I can still do what I need to do to take care of home and business, but make sure that my son is cared for as well. So the reality is that no matter what's going on, no matter what niche or industry you're in, what service or product you provide, people still need what you have. And honestly, they need it now more than ever, with a lot of people going into either self quarantine or, they an imposed quarantine by health officials because you've been, you may have been showing symptoms, or someone around you has been symptomatic. The reality is a lot of us are facing the real idea of isolation. And isolation, when not having a plan, can be very disruptive and detrimental to our emotional, mental, and physical health. So you've got to find a happy medium to be able to make sure that, yes, you're taking the necessary precautionary measures to ensure that you and your family are healthy and you stay healthy, but you've also got to be able to find ways creatively to make sure that you can still show up and serve and do the work that you've been called to do. And so I know all about that. I honestly do. Anything that I share with you, it's not coming from a place of something that I've read or a video that I've watched. I always talk from my own personal experience. One, because I believe in total honesty and authenticity. But two, I feel that's the only way that you can truly help people, is if it's something that you have experienced. So before we get into these tips, I want to share a personal story with you. If you're down to hear that and are willing to give me a little bit of grace to share something with you, I promise it's all going to make sense and it's really going to help you. And I think it's going to encourage you a lot. Drop a 2 in the comments. Hey Zoe, I haven't seen you in so long. Oh my gosh, it's good to see you on here. Thanks so much for tuning in. Okay, so imagine total chaos going on in your world. 1 minute things are normal and they're great. You're doing the things that you love. You're around the people that you love. You're truly enjoying your work. And then all of a sudden, your world turns upside down and it feels like it's crashing at meteoric speeds. That's kind of like what we feel like right now, right? One day it seemed like things were normal in our world. And then in the very next instance, it seems like things have changed. You're going to the store, you can't find toilet paper, you can't find soap, you can't get water. Dry goods like beans and rice are a hot commodity, and you're not able to find any of those things right now when you go to the store. And so panic begins to set in, and you are thinking, how am I going to survive this? How am I going to take care of myself and my loved ones? That's kind of what a lot of us may be experiencing right now, right? Well, I know all too well about that feeling, that emotion, that period of 1 minute, one day, your world seeming like everything is as it should be. And then imagine waking up the very next day and you discover that your world has been turned upside down by something that you have absolutely no control over. And you don't even know much about the thing that's turned your world upside down. That was me 8 years ago. Literally 8 years ago this week. I was on my deathbed in ICU in critical condition from severe lupus complications. So, for those of you who are new around here, I am a 20 plus year lupus survivor and thriver. I'm a warrior. And I say that because I have battle scars and wounds. I have fought to live. It's why I can sit here today and share with you my own journey and story. 8 years ago this week, this woman right here, was fighting to live in critical condition in ICU on my deathbed where I laid for a month. Why? Because I had seemingly contracted some unknown virus, which to this day they still don't know what the virus was. But what ended up happening was, because I have a compromised immune system due to lupus. So remember, we're talking about the impact that the coronavirus is having on people now and those that are at a greater risk for contracting the virus. I'm one of those people. So I had to go into self quarantine mode relatively quickly because I know the risk for myself, right? And then my husband and my son, my family, they've had to take the necessary precautions to make sure that they're not in environments where they could potentially be exposed, be a carrier, and then come back home and potentially get me sick. So it's all of these different things that we have to do. And that's been my life for more than 20 years. So being in this mode of self preservation and making sure that I double down and take care of my health, this isn't new to me. Is it scary? Absolutely. I'd be lying if I said I didn't have my own concerns. However, I would rather make sure that I'm educated and aware enough as much as possible so that I can make the best decisions for me and still be able to run my business and serve my clients and my community. And that is what you need to do. So while I was 8 years ago on my deathbed fighting for my life, that is actually coming out of that when the doctors were telling my husband and my mother and our family that there's nothing else left that we can do. Her body is not responding to any of the medications. What do? When you wake up and the doctor says to you, I'm sorry, we've done all we can. We've tried every measure that we could to save your life, but nothing seems to be working. Do you give up? Or do you say, I'm going to fight like hell to live? That is exactly what I chose to do. And I said a prayer because at the time, my oldest daughter was a senior in high school. And my prayer was very simple initially. It was, just let me live long enough so that I can get to Ohio and watch my baby graduate. But how selfish of a prayer was that? Not because I wanted to see my daughter graduate. I was well within my right to want to do that. But I have two other children. I have a husband. I have a mother. I have sisters, nieces and nephews and cousins and uncles and friends and a community of people that I have been called to serve. And so my prayers became bigger than that, and they became bigger than me. And my prayer was simply, please allow me to live, and I will share my story and my message to help other people navigate through their own storm. And thus, Elevate Now, which is now known as Elevate Now Creative Media, was born. That is how my business came to be, on my deathbed. Me making a plea with God to spare my life so that I could continue to do work. And at that time, I was an actress full time working in Hollywood. I thought I was living the life. I had just come off of set for filming a new project. I had just booked an amazing role in another project with some heavy hitter celebrities that you know. And I lost it all. My body transformed everything. And so here I am coming out of that and having to go through chemotherapy and watching my whole world internally and externally change. My body changed, the way that I look changed. I was very, very thin, and my face was full of blemishes and craters. Like, I didn't look like myself, and I certainly didn't feel like myself. And my first thought was, when I come out of this, I'm never going to be able to book another job, another role. And it was a very scary time. And I had been on Facebook at that point for a couple years, but there was no live streaming platforms. There was no Periscope. Really, we just had YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, but video was not a big thing then, not like it is now. And so I began to think, like, how can I reinvent myself? I had no other choice. Much like a lot of you are right now in business and entrepreneurs, you're thinking, my business is going to crumble. I'm here to tell you that it's not. Your business doesn't have to fail. It doesn't have to crumble. Will it be impacted by this pandemic? Pretty much. But you can minimize the impact that happens if you move quickly. Move quickly. Pivot, right? How are you going to pivot? How are you going to reinvent yourself? And then how quickly are you going to move to implementation so that you can continue to show up and serve, even if the way that you serve now looks differently than it did 2 days ago or a week ago? So that's what we're talking about today, is learning how to pivot, reinvent, implement, and serve. And in order to serve, you got to show up. So, what's one of the best ways to show up, especially with so many people facing isolation? You got it. Video, right? And it doesn't matter what business you have, what product or service you offer, you can leverage digital media to still show up and serve your tribe, serve your people, and still be profitable. Maybe you're a business owner that has 2 to 5 employees or 50 employees or 100 employees, and you're wondering, how am I going to make this happen? I just saw on CNN, I think it was yesterday, and one of the CEOs from one airline was saying that they weren't going to take a salary for like the next 6 months, I believe it was. While another airline was saying, really encouraging their employees to consider working voluntarily without pay. Last I checked, utility bills, utility companies, mortgage companies, landlords, property management, banks, none of those places are going to allow you to not pay anything because you decided to voluntarily work but not get paid. I think that is a selfish thing to do. So if you are a CEO, a business owner, an entrepreneur, and you employ other people who rely on your business to provide for them and their families, you've got to be super strategic, smart, intentional, and creative about how you're still going to be able to show up and help them as they show up and serve and help you. Now, if somebody is in a position and they voluntarily want to do it and they come and say to you, hey, I'm willing to work for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a month without pay, then cool. But don't have that mindset. And I think that's a big misstep on big business, part to really ask that of people given the climate. We're facing a lot of uncertainty from a health perspective as well as a financial perspective, but you still have an opportunity to be in control of not what's going on, but how you respond to what's going on, right? Okay, so let's get into these tips. Ready? Drop a 1 in the comments and let's get into it, and grab a pen, paper, take notes. Come back and watch the replay, do whatever you need to do, but I promise you this is going to be super, super helpful for you. Okay, so one of the things that you can do right off the bat is look at how you can establish your credibility, right? Your expertise and your credibility in your field. And again, in my opinion, the top way to do that is through video. It is what I did back 8 years ago when I was going through my near-death experience and coming out of that and going through the healing process, but then looking at, okay, my livelihood in this industry is seemingly come to an end. How am I going to reinvent myself and be able to still do what I love and make money doing it? At the end of the day, I needed to still be able to make money doing it once I went through my healing process. And that was a long time. So the following year in 2012, I officially launched elevatenow.com on my 40th birthday. And so here we are. What is this? 8 years later. Yeah. And I'm flourishing in my business. I've had some incredible opportunities, brand partnerships, media features, speaking engagements, all kinds of things. And I don't say that to brag. I'm saying it because I want you to know what's possible for you. And those things have helped me to grow both my personal brand and my business. Media is what has helped me to grow my personal brand and build a consulting business and agency from something that started out as a blog. Honestly, I just needed a way to creatively get out of me all of the emotions and the things that I was feeling as a result of going through this near-death experience. And so for me, I started vlogging. I had a Toshiba laptop that I'd had for several years, and I used the built-in webcam, which was horrible, by the way, but I used what I had to start sharing my message. And I would record a video on my webcam, save it to my computer, and then upload it to Facebook and YouTube. And that is how I was able to penetrate a new audience and a new industry, so to speak, without anyone knowing me outside of the entertainment industry or acting. And very quickly, things took off for me. I was getting invited to do podcasts and radio interviews and television segments and to speak at different large, events, health events, lifestyle events, events for women, parenting. I became a patient advocate for women like myself who live with lupus. And things just took off, and I've had the most incredible once in a lifetime opportunities as a result of 2 things, actually 3: showing up, sharing my message, and using video as the medium to do it, and just being visible. and I've grown exponentially as a result of it. And so that is what I help my clients to do, is learn how to leverage video to share their message, but more importantly, even uncover what their message is. We all have stories. And I hear from so many people all of the time, especially women, I don't have a story. I don't have a story that's as powerful as yours, so then I don't feel like I have a story. Lies. We all have stories, but you have to be willing to look at what you have gone through. You have to be able to accept the story and look at how you've grown as a result of that story, because it's powerful and someone needs it. And so while when I first started out, I was sharing my story of living with lupus. I have a lot of different stories. It's just like having a book, a chapter book. Each chapter is different. It focuses on something specific and different. But by the end of the book, all of the chapters are tied together. They're all woven together by these different stories that are told. Our lives are the same exact way. I want you to feel empowered in this time, in this moment. I don't want you to walk around in fear. I don't want you to feel like your world is coming to an end or your business is going to go broke. It won't, if you do the things that I'm sharing with you today. And so the first thing is you have to have a mindset shift. I had to have a mindset shift of, oh my gosh, I'm going to die, to no, I'm going to live. And then the mindset shift went from, I just want to live long enough to see my daughter graduate, to no, I want to live because I know that I still have work to do, people to love, and people to serve. It required a mindset shift. And that is honestly a huge part of what helped me to survive. And it wasn't easy, much like this situation, because it's so much uncertainty. Like the first chemotherapy treatment that I had to take, it was a 24-hour period, and I was still in the hospital in ICU. There was a great risk that was attached to that. And they laid it out on the table for my family and I, so that I could make the most informed decision. So I had an opportunity to either give into the fear of what could happen as a result of starting this very, dangerous, it could potentially dangerous treatment, or was I going to focus on the possibility of, oh, I'm going to live? My mindset had to shift. And I believe because of my mindset shifting and because of my faith, things worked out the way that they did. But it didn't come without some concern, some fear. But you have to, really navigate through the fear and not be led by the fear. The next thing was, how am I going to reinvent myself? So then I reinvented myself from being an actress and a writer and a producer to being a public speaker. And then from there, I went back to my consulting days. I used to be a marketing consultant, and then I started consulting women. And then it seemed like more and more women in business and entrepreneurs, they were coming to me. And that's how I began to grow or start the agency part, or the consulting part and agency part of my business, which is now today Elevate Now Creative Media. So whether you're a hairstylist or a teacher, or you offer a physical product, you have an opportunity today to leverage video to continue to show up and serve and help your people, your community. Doesn't matter what it is, I guarantee you, you can leverage video to do that. If you're a hairstylist, teach some classes on how to maintain your hair during a crisis. And a crisis could be the financial crisis. People are self-quarantining and being in isolation again, right? But we still need to care for our hair and our skin. If you're in the beauty industry, make some videos, create a master class where you can teach women and people how to care for their skin at home using natural products. Create a bundle of your physical products that people can purchase for you. If you're a restaurateur or you own some, type of food business, maybe your customers are not coming in the door as much. Give them an incentive to come. Implement what some of these other major restaurants are doing, like Applebee's and PF Chang's, and I believe Chili's does it too, where customers can order online and then come up and pick up their food curbside. Is that something that you can do in your business? Like, look at what you currently do and how you can shift and pivot, reinvent, and then quickly implement and continue to serve your audience. If you're a teacher, a lot of schools, if you're like our area, the schools are shut down. Parents are worried about what they're going to do, especially those parents who still have to go outside of the home and work. Can you provide childcare for a small group of children in your home? If you're a teacher, can you provide online tutoring for students to help them, or online study sessions to ensure that while they're out of school, like I said, my son is out for the next 3 weeks minimum. There are things that I need to do with him, but I'm also running a business. Think about the parent, the wife, the mom, the husband, the dad that's working from home, but they still need to figure out how to take care of some things where their kids are concerned, so they're not just sitting in front of the TV all day. Right? You have a bakery. Make a bundle. You can implement the same thing that I talked about with a restaurateur, where you have people placing orders online and then they're able to come and pick up curbside. Go digital. And if you already are digital, look at how you can repackage some of the things that you currently do and make it more accessible to your audience. Does that make sense? Let's see. How many questions over here? All right, so yes, Keisha, you have it. Establish yourself through video. You can establish your credibility and authority through video. That's the number one way, in my opinion, to do it. But here's the other thing: digital media across the board. Think about the shows like Tamron Hall. I don't know if you caught me on the Tamron Hall show. Was it last month? I was on the Tamron Hall show, or maybe like the end of January. You have the Tamron Hall show who they don't have an in-studio audience right now. They've shut down the opportunity for people to come in studio. They still have a show to run, so they have their production team there. Same thing with Good Morning America and Jimmy Kimmel. These are places where you're an expert, you are a thought leader in your industry. You need to be pitching yourself to these podcasts and these television shows, especially if what you do now, you can leverage that to teach people how to navigate through this pandemic. Whether you're a financial expert, a tax expert, a business expert, whatever it is, you're a parenting expert, you have a great opportunity right now to go and pitch yourself to these media outlets and these television shows and these podcasts and even digital magazines, to lend your voice and expertise to the conversation that's taking place about real issues that are impacting and affecting people right now. And one of the quickest ways to do that is record video, use video, whether it's masterclasses, whether you're doing a live stream like I'm doing now, and people sharing this, which, by the way, if you're digging this content, if you're getting value from it, share it with your network for me. Share it out. If you're watching the replay, share it out, because this is something that everyone can gain value from. But don't let it be a thing where myself and other people within your sphere of influence are sharing golden nuggets with you and you do nothing with them. That's when you fail. But if you take what we're sharing with you, if you begin to implement and get really serious and buckle down, I mean, some of you, we're home. A lot of us are home. What else you got to do? Get to work. Head down and get to work. Make it happen. by any means necessary. You don't have to fake it till you make it. You don't have to operate in fear. You don't have to be shisty and spammy and scammy. None of that will work in your favor. But what you can do is leverage what you already have, what you already know, and use that and get smart about how you're showing up and serving. And I guarantee you, your community, your tribe, your customers, your clients, your people will absolutely love you for it. People want something to take their minds off of the the seriousness of all that's going on. They don't want to keep turning on the TV, and everything that we hear about is about the coronavirus in some way. Maybe you're a comedian or an entertainer or you're an artist. Teach art class digitally. And yes, you can profit off of it. You can do YouTube videos. You can create videos and create a private Facebook group and create a membership where people pay a fee to access your content. And then you just drive them on into your Facebook group, and that is where they show up. You have a targeted community, and they're paying for your expertise. You can do this. Start thinking about how you can pivot, reinvent, implement, and serve, and I promise you, you won't fail. And you'll be able to protect your health, emotional and mental health, and your physical health, and your sanity, and still be able to do what you need to do in this world and be profitable. So if you have any questions, if I didn't cover, the industry that you're in, and you say, hey, Elle, that's great, but that's not my industry, and I'm really struggling to come up with some ideas. Shoot me a message and let's chat, or drop it in the comments below. I'll come back and read those comments, and I'll try to answer as best as I can. But at the end of the day, doesn't matter what I say or anyone else says, you've got to be the one to take action, which is why implement is one of those steps, because you can get all the information in the world, but if you're not taking action and implementing it, then it doesn't mean anything. All right. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I love you all. My prayer above all is that you stay safe. If you have any questions at all about the coronavirus, you have any concerns, please be sure to visit the World Health Organization's website, or the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control. Visit their websites and get up-to-date information. If you have more specific questions or concerns about your local or regional area, contact your health department in that area and get the most up-to-date information so that you can do what is necessary to keep you and your family safe and healthy. I know that we are all going to come through this, and we're going to come through it together, and we're going to look back and see how resilient we truly are as a human race. Now is not the time to chastise anyone, to mock anyone, to tear apart what anyone is doing. If you have a message to share, you know you have a message to share. Please, 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 I am begging you, do not sit on it. I don't care what you think someone else might think about your message. Share it, because people need to hear it now more than ever. I'm sending you a lot of love, big hugs virtually, and prayers for healing, success, and peace. I will see you guys on the next broadcast. Until then, be well and keep elevating, my friends. Bye.